Hey guys, thanks for tuning back in. I really appreciate it. Before I get started, I want to say thanks for the outpouring of support from the previous video. It really shows everybody's interested in this, and I really like that because this is going to be the path I'm going to be taking for this year. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Before we get started, let's go ahead and make sure that the rifle is empty and on safe. Rifle is empty. It's a smooth action. So I figured for the first video of this new series, what I want to do is I want to take a tour of the rifle, explain some of the features, kind of get to know what I'm going to be working with before we start shooting. I know that everybody wants to shoot, but we need to get this thing set up before we start shooting. Let's go look at it now. Starting from the rear, working our way forward of the KRG X-ray Chassis, you notice that you have spacers on the butt pad. This is especially good when you're wanting to set this rifle up for the individual shooter. Another interesting feature is you can actually set this up for whether you want the pad to be high or whether you want the pad to be low. One way that it locks it in place is almost like a tread system, a locking tread, where it locks it into place. Once you find where you want it set, whether you want it at the top or if you want it at the bottom, lock it in place and it doesn't move after that. Moving forward, you'll have a flat spot here where the bag can go if you're shooting off a bag. On each side you'll have QD mounts. These are anti-rotational mounts. Once it locks in place, it does not move, as you can see. Above that is the adjustable cheek rests. Now this has multiple ways this can be configured for the individual shooter. Once you slide this off, if you don't want it to drop back to a certain spot, it has these small rings. Looking on it from this side, you'll notice that it also has a slope on this side for your cheek to rest on. It has a slightly rough texture, so that once you set on there, you're not going to be sliding off. Another thing, as you notice, there's also these individual holes. This allows you to remove these pins and set them whichever spot you want. So whether you want the hole here or what you want to set it here, wherever you want to set it, you can configure it again for the individual shooter. Once it's set, it locks in place. Moving forward, the grip panels are actually removable. Once you want to remove the grip panels, you can take two screws here and here. Both grip panels can be removed. There's only two sizes, large and small. Right above the grip panel, you'll see what looks like a cutout here. This is actually where your thumb goes. This is a different style of shooting. I've been seeing it here a lot lately. Mostly with precision shooters. I actually really appreciate it, and I do it a lot with a lot of different guns now. Moving forward, where the trigger housing is, you also notice that you have a oversized bolt release. Really different from the SIG crosses. I actually really like this one better. I wish that you could install something like this where the SIG cross is. I don't like how the SIG cross you have to force your finger forward, whereas this one you can just push like that. Doesn't take as much. Moving forward of that, this is where the magazine goes, and inside of this you're going to have the aluminum housing, which is actually where the rifle sits in. Outside of this is your polymer casing or polymer housing that goes on the outside. Now this is actually removable, and you can actually buy different accessories, whether you want one that actually completely encloses the barrel or if you want this polymer one. You can pick and choose whichever one you want. On the front end of this, you have two M-LOK spots. Currently the M-LOK spots are being used by my UTG Recon Gen 1 bipod system. Forward of that, you'll have, and I'm not sure exactly the entire purpose and what it's used for, but this is referred to as a spigot. This one has rails underneath, and the previous owner actually had the bipod mounted here. Looking on top, you actually have spaces for screws. This is actually where you can put a bridge on top if you wanted to put a compatible night vision or thermal optics in front of your scope. So we're not done taking a tour of the KRG X-ray chassis. Understand that this is the only chassis that I have ever actually owned, so I can only speak for this chassis, but I will tell you that this chassis is an extremely customizable and is a great thing that you can have, that you can set it up for yourself. And it was a good idea to go over it so that I can explain how you're going to want to set your rifle up when you're going to be the specific shooter shooting this gun. Again, thanks for watching the video. I hope y'all like and subscribe. As I said before, it helps the algorithm, and I'm not really sure how all that works, but I know it does help the algorithm. I am going to be shooting this rifle very soon, but before we do, need to make sure that we take a tour and understand everything before we take it out to the range, because unfortunately ammo is not cheap and ammo is not easy to find, especially if you want good ammo. So you need to make every shot count. All right, see y'all the next one.